Hey guys, this is TheEnder, and we are in set 3 of the round of 16 Group A, C versus Shuttle. And, so yeah. You can't actually tell, probably, because I'm uploading videos all at the same time, but this is actually a day after I did the first two. But yeah, so let's jump right into the game. In the bottom left position, the red Protoss player, we have Shuttle. In the upper right position, also the red player, it's our Terran player, C, who is currently up 2-0 in its best of 5. Pretty soon one of them's going to be switched to yellow. Alright, there we go. So C is going to be the yellow Terran. And, so yeah, we are on the map Blue Storm. And, Blue Storm's got a very interesting wide-open natural. I mean, I favor a Zerg and a Protoss versus Zerg, but I think I'd favor a Protoss and a Protoss versus Terran. So this is interesting. So once again, there's going to be two entrances in the natural. One's a... It's not a ramp, it's just like a really narrow choke, like a single unit can pass choke. And the other is a high ground. But the fact is, it's just so wide open, so I would expect it to be pretty good for, you know, aggressive play and attacking. But we'll see. So C is up 2-0, so if Mong doesn't win, that means I'm going to have to make 2 anti-spoiler videos. And so I'll have to think of something to do for those. I don't know. I don't know if I mentioned it before, or if I didn't upload it, but so apparently all of my videos so far, my most popular video was the anti-spoiler video where I was singing, which, you know, it makes me wonder if I should have just turned this into a random singing channel, which of course is hilarious to even think about since I don't sing at all. But so yeah. Alright, so we see a standard opening so far. Barracks on one side, gateway on the other. Gas for both players. Actually, it looks like Shuttle pulled his probes off of gas, or maybe he just started mining it. That's kind of odd, we didn't see any probes on it. Alright, but now we have the probes there. We have the pylon next to the simulator to help with the probe pathing, because of course workers are not quite as bright as they could be. And we have a fast factory on the way. So, alright. Yeah, we are now exiting the build order phase, and we are going into the early mid-game. Of course, if you've been listening to my cast, I invented that in the prior series. I'm saying there's 5 stages in a StarCraft game. You know, you've got the build order phase, the early mid-game, the mid-late game, and the late game. And so we've gone into phase 2 since neither player has done anything significantly important so far in this game. But, so yeah, what are we going to see? Oh, what have we here? We have some kind of a proxy going down. It looks like in the bottom right position, Shuttle is placing a pylon, and usually this is used to hide tech. I mean, it's rather far away, so I wouldn't expect it to be, you know, proxy reavers or, you know, proxy shuttle. It's rather late, though, so I also wouldn't expect it to be DTs. So I'm slightly confused as to what this is. Ah, look at that probe. I think that probe got a kill. It looks like he used the probe to block the SCV. You know, if you phase on top of it and then hit stop, it'll bug out the SCV unless the SCV is mineral locking. And with the amount of time, it only had to freeze the SCV for a short amount of time. Alright, so we do see that it is a proxy robo. That's a really weird proxy positioning. I mean, usually the Protoss will proxy it to the like to the 12 o'clock position, because that's a whole lot easier to hold. But it looks like C just walked right by it. I thought he saw it, but I don't know. He had to have seen that. But I mean, the other thing is it's just so far away from where it is in that right corner. He might as well have made it in his natural. I don't know. But the point is, Shuttle is trying something interesting, and he's built his expansion already too. So yeah, of course proxies do have two, basic purposes. One is to hide your stuff, and then the other purpose is to make it closer to your opponent's base so that you can rush faster. But really, that bottom right location, it's just so terrible. Yes, it's hidden. It's not much closer. And the problem... and now he makes the observatory in his main. This is just so weird. But, of course, when you proxy buildings, if your rush fails, usually you lose the tech. So it's suboptimal. But the fact that he's rushing observers, I just don't get it. This is... I mean, you might as well build like a single gateway in the far corner of the map. It's... I don't know. It's just so weird. So yeah, it does look like C knows where it is. He passed it with his SCV, and although the SCV didn't stop, which is rather odd, he definitely saw it. So it looks like he's going down there, he's going to take it out. Actually, I say that. Usually Terran players, when it's this early in the game and the unit counts are just so low, they'll only take out the pylon. And of course, without the pylon, the building can't produce anything. And it's sort of useless tech-wise to just have the robo. But alright, pylon has gone down, no more observers can come out. And it looks like C is actually going to stay and kill the robo. And you might say, oh, well, it's just a building, but that's an expensive building. That is a darn expensive building. 200. You can... that's just so much. Alright, and it goes down with a single observer on the field. So either Shuttle has to remake it, or he's going to have to play for a while with a single shuttle. Or, with no shuttles and a single obs. Weird. Alright, so he counters by going for a quick third. Of course, the third base is a mineral-only base. But, mineral-only isn't bad. The other funny thing is C has left this army in the bottom right position, and it's possibly because Shuttle has sent his army to pretty much stay in between it, so he can't, rendezvous his army. So, like I said, Shuttle could get a favorable engagement if he, if he purposely sends all his troops to the bottom right and picks off that little force. Yeah. Because of course, as you know or should know, Terran armies they gain the majority of their strength by having a critical mass. Without that critical mass, they actually die really cost ineffectively. Some nice high ground mines from C, and it looks like C finally decided, well, if Shuttle's not actually going to attack that army in the middle, I might as well just, move out with it. And rather than going home, it looks like he's moving to attack. It's only 4 Marines and a siege tank, but of course he can send more vultures to meet up with them. Seems kind of funny. And a third base on the way for C. Oh, that's annoying. So all the way back there, and the siege tank is shelling the Nexus. He's only got 1 kill, and that might have been the robo or the pylon. So, and looks like he's gonna get a goon. Maybe. Still shelling the Nexus, though. Alright. And tank goes down. Doesn't get any extra kills. Alright, now that C has seen the army from Shuttle, he's going to move his tanks out and take the high ground. Of course, in Brood War, high ground gives you a 50% miss chance on ranged attacks. Very, very nice. And of course there is, a slight luck factor when you say it's a 50% chance, because it's not like, shot 1 hits but shot 2 misses. It's long-term trend, half of your attacks will miss. So the robo has been remade by Shuttle, so he pretty much didn't attack, and he ate the loss of that random proxy. I really don't know what he was thinking on that. Okay, so we haven't seen a yeah, no Stargate and no Temple Archives. So it looks like it's just like a one of the Citadel to get Zealot legs. And of course that would indicate some kind of an aggressive play, because you only get the Zealots and the Zealot legs when you're getting ready to attack. So we have a shuttle, and the shuttle has some Zealot bombs in it. There is no anti-air! Oh! Shuttle can go for it, yeah! Because this is going to force C to either unsiege, or he's going to take some tank damage. Oh yeah, see, there's the splash. One tank down for 2 Zealots, and another... Oh, if Shuttle had moved a little bit faster and going for that drop... Alright, there are the Speed Zealots. And there's the Stargate, so he's going to tech up to Arbiters, I guess, eventually. But man, if he had been a little bit faster with that drop, he really could have done a lot of damage to those tanks. As it was, you know, he took a little bit of damage on the shuttle, and he lost 2 Zealots, and he took out about a tank and a half. So still a good trade for him. Tanks are just, you know, so darn expensive. And looks like it's slightly mistimed, but it's... Wow, he's just doing no damage. I don't know how that happened. Yeah, that, like I said, that did no damage. Huh. Yeah, so that was a bit of a disastrous attack. Of course, if you are the Terran in that situation and you see you're being attacked by a lot of Zealots, you got a couple choices. One is to unsiege all your tanks, and then all your tanks are suddenly really vulnerable to goons. Or, if you're a really good pro player, you gotta pretty much select all your tanks and literally manually target Dragoons with them. Which, I mean, since tanks will take out goons in like 2 or 3 shots, that means you have to do a whole lot of targeting. Oh, and... Alright, we got carriers on the way. That's... Haven't seen that in a while. And it's been scouted. How did those vultures get all the way into the main? Possibly from that dropship. It looks like the vulture's trying to bait the goons into the mines, but yeah, okay, so it's the dropship. But yeah, so I'm not liking Shuttle's position. I mean, the idea to go carriers is a decent idea, but when you lose your entire army like that and don't do much damage against the Terran, I mean, the second they scout the carriers, they literally, you know, the countdown starts going in their head, and after about a minute, they're going to push out and pretty much going to kill you, because you spent so much money, so much tech, and getting the carriers. And I mean, look at this position. I mean, a single Zealot can go through that choke. You really don't want to have to go through that. The one nice thing is that there is a little bit of high ground. So, alright. With a lot of Zealots in the high ground, it does look like Shuttle's going to take this army out. And that's a nice pickup for him. Oh, but no Dragoons left? Ugh. No goons left means, you know, all these vultures are just going to be super effective. Where'd all the probes go? The probes all get sniped too? Oh man. Alright, so it looks like C is about 10 supply ahead of Shuttle. And, I mean, as a Protoss, you want to be, you know, something like 20 or 40 supply ahead of a Terran. Just because their units are so much more cost effective. And we do have 2 carriers out, and probably more on the way. But, I mean, C is already going ahead with offensive turrets. And turrets, they're just so darn cheap. They're like 75 minerals. So, I mean, it's completely fine to just spam them. And C also has his double upgrades. He's got 4 bases compared to the 3 of Shuttle. C's in a really nice position here. And Shuttle doesn't even have +1 attack on his ground army. Of course, you know, carriers are good versus mech because they exploit the Terran immobility. But at the same time, you really got to support them with ground units. Because if the Terran's allowed to go for like mass Goliath, those Goliaths in their range, they can just do a ton of work on carriers. Alright, so we have 2 carriers, no interceptors on the carriers. Ugh. Well, yeah, so if you can go for Dragoon Carrier, that works pretty well. And we do have 3 carriers out now. Oh no, we have 4 carriers out now. Still, usually you wouldn't reveal your carriers until you have between 6 and 8. That's usually the time to start pushing out and you can start sniping things off. You know, with 4, assuming they have interceptors, they can do a little bit of work. But, I mean, think about what they're killing right now. So they killed a turret, that's 75 minerals. And now they gotta run away from the Goliath. They're losing interceptors, each interceptor is another 25 minerals lost. C is now up to 5 bases. And Shuttle's trying to take a 4th, but I don't think it's going to be able to get up. But yeah, so goons and carriers, and the goons will trade effectively versus the Goliaths, and the carriers, if they left unchecked, they can pick off everything else. And then, of course, eventually when it gets to the point where there's just too many Goliaths, and even if there's only 1 or 2 tanks, usually the Protoss will be forced to switch into making some Templar to complement the carriers. Because although normally Storms aren't super effective versus mech, versus Math Goliaths, it can work out pretty well. Ooh, that's a bit of a minefield. So of course, this entire time, I mean, Shuttle's only been on 2 gas. And you say so? Gas is, that's a very much a limiting resource when you have to build gas-heavy buildings like fleet beacons and stargates. Whoops. And because, I mean, at the same time, I've heard it said that you need a probe on gas for every single gateway you have pumping Dragoons. So if he has 2 gas and a total of 6 probes on those gas, that means he can only have 6 gateways pumping Dragoons, and that's assuming he's not building any tech or any carriers. So he really needs that 3rd gas at the 4th base. Alright, we are up to 6 carriers now. And there's still... This is surprising. I'm surprised I don't see a larger amount of Goliaths. I mean, yes, C has been expanding aggressively. He's been building a whole lot of turrets, so we might not need all that many Goliaths. But I'm really surprised that there's not like a big Goliath ball. I don't know, maybe that's at that high ground outside the 3rd base. I'm just rather surprised I haven't seen it. Because, of course, carriers do also, work well on a critical mass type of basis. When you got high ground like this, all they have to do is, stay on the high ground, and they can literally, snipe down units or even command centers pretty quickly. And, of course, since they are on the high ground, the Goliaths can't see the carriers very well unless he floats a building or scans. And nice little high ground position for Shuttle to keep his goons on. But he really needs to do a whole lot of work if he wants to try and win this one. So of course those units go. Goliaths are not very gas heavy. 100 minerals, 50 gas. Pretty cheap, build pretty fast. You don't need a machine shop. So as far as units a Terran can pump, you can pump them pretty well. Alright, so still 6 carriers, they still got a decent amount of interceptors, and Shuttle is still mining. So it's actually getting to the point where, and yeah, he's getting close to max supply, 170 supply. Of course there is, you do got to be careful. I mean, Goliaths do trade effectively versus carriers, but when carriers get up to a critical mass, all of a sudden you run into these situations where the Terran literally, they start running into really bad spots. They can't push because at the same time the carriers will just, fly in and snipe all their bases, and it can be problematic. But it looks like Shuttle has actually stopped once he's gotten up to 6 or 8 carriers or however many it is he has here. Oh no, he's flying way too far in. You gotta pull him back. You're gonna lose some carriers like that. Oh. So, yeah, definitely saw at least 1 carrier go down, maybe 2. He's down to 6 carriers. Looks like the Protoss is going to engage right now. Oh no, he needs to, yeah. If he can get some good mine drags on the tanks, that would be great. He needs to retreat his goons now. Goons don't do good against tanks, and especially when they're fighting against mines on the high ground. Yeah, alright, goons are retreating. Goliath numbers have been thinned out. We still had 6 carriers alive. But then we get to that other problem, which is the whole C is outmining you, which Terrans are not supposed to be doing, but he is. I should point out, a while back I saw a shield upgrade for Shuttle. Of course, you don't see that usually. It's one of the most expensive upgrades. Twice as expensive as weapons or armor. But of course, since it benefits the carriers, especially since the carriers are usually only taking shield damage and then regenerating, it's a good investment. That being said, he needs to keep producing carriers. Once again, a lot of turrets going down, but even 6 turrets, that's 300, no, not 300, 75 each, so it's 150 for 2, so 450 for 6 turrets. You say, how much is 450? Well, a carrier itself is about double that, because it's 550 in minerals to have full interceptors, and for the carrier cost, in addition to the 250 gas. So, it's, you gotta be careful. I mean, if you lose a single carrier in that attack, it's not worth it. Alright, so there's the mass Goliath I was talking about. That is a ton of Goliaths. Yeah, and since carriers can't really do anything against that, there are some Templar mixed in. I think I saw 2 Templar for Shuttle. If he can get some money storms, those he can severely weaken the Goliaths. You can't kill a Goliath with a single storm, since a Goliath has, I believe, 125 HP. But, oh no, those goons are going to get slaughtered. And that's not the good storm you need. Alright, so the goons are all dying, and Shuttle GG's. So that's going to be a 3-0 win, and C moves on to the round of 8. GG.